Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye is at the Milwaukee Public Library interviewing candidates in the 2014 elections, interviewing former State Senator Wanggaard. He's a Republican from Racine. He's running in the 21st Senate District. Van, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Just
a programming note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Van, former State Senator, and then what happened? You took a left turn or something, your career took a left turn. What did you do? Give us your version of getting voted out of office.
Well, I guess, the issue was I stuck to my principles and supported the governor on his reform package. We did more conservative legislation than they had done in decades, and the recall process that had started was, I think, as a result of my conservative votes that I had taken. My district was about a 48% conservative district at the time I was elected, and the recall was done in the old district. Even though we were responsible for the new district, which included both Racine and Kenosha, the recall was done in the old district.
It cost you your job. Anything you do differently, Van?
No, I would still work to address the concerns of my constituents within the district. I don't think that our district has become more conservative. I think there's more conservatives in the district. So I'm going to be working with a lot more conservative people, and I think that that's a good thing. We're gonna get a lot of good stuff done.
You proudest when you were in office of your vote for Act 10, sir?
Yes, I think that was it was the right thing to do. Got our state on the right track, moving in the right direction. We reduced a $3.7 billion deficit. Now we have a surplus. We've changed the policy of how we invite businesses to come into Wisconsin and job creators to create those necessary things that we need to promote a positive environment so that people can get a good paying job and can support their families.
Well, let's talk about some issues. First, let's talk about K12. Your position on expansion of Choice, because Choice it went statewide with 1,000 enrollment cap.
Yes, it did.
And that's going to be a central issue in the next budget. Should we take off the 1,000 cap?
I believe that, first of all, I would like to say that the Racine Choice program that I was the chief advocate for happened because I fought the unions, I fought WEAC, I even fought Mike Ellis to have Choice come to Racine. And we did that over a 3-year period, and we're one of 2 places in the state that has Choice without a cap. Of course, we have now 3 areas in the state because we have the statewide Choice program also. And I believe that we should lift the cap totally, but not only just on the application numbers, but lift it on the number of schools that are eligible. As long as they're credentialed and they meet the financial bona fides, they should be able to be an opportunity for kids. And then the Exodus cap wouldn't make any sense either. So I would be in favor of removing all those caps, but also I'd go a step farther and I would look at making the program so it's more uniform, so that, because right now you can't transfer between, like, say, Milwaukee Public Schools and Racine Public, or Milwaukee Schools, Choice Schools, and Racine Choice Schools, or statewide schools. So if we made this one uniform program and we brought up the eligibility requirements so they were all the same, we made access easier for parents and administrators to be able to forage through, I think that would be a huge thing that would really help us do that. But it's not just about choice.
I understand.
It's about charter schools and public schools and virtual schools and choice.
Right. As doing a few dozen of these interviews, I know that Common Core is going to be an issue in the next session, Senator. Your position on Common Core standards?
Common Core, I think, is an intrusion and an overreach by the federal government. I think that after I've been a few seminars and I've seen what's included in Common Core, it scares me. I believe that Wisconsin has the brightest and best educators and the brightest and best people, that we can make our own standards, we can develop our own curriculum standards, and we can include all of the participants and all of the stakeholders. When I look at what they've done with Common Core, they've integrated a lot of liberal gibberish in Common Core and a lot of things that I believe conservatives don't stand for. But I think that this should be about the kids getting a great education, and we can do it better here in Wisconsin, and we can include the teachers that actually implement the curriculum, and then we get the individual educators involved and the administrators involved and the state involved. So it's got to be a working partnership, but I think we can do it better at the state level.
Do you think Wisconsin should formally withdraw, like Louisiana and a few other states, from
Yes.
Common Core?
Yep, I think we should repeal it totally and have our own.
Okay. Let me ask.
Go ahead.
If you have a PS, go ahead.
I just really believe that we have the ability to create our own level here, our own standards. And why would we want to do something where one of these other states with Common Core, which would lower what our standards would be? I think we need to start with our own process here, something that we can have as a living document that we can continue to work on and improve, and make it so that in the changing times, our kids are going to have all those opportunities. And that's just like creating more opportunities for schooling.
Transportation funding. You got an interstate running through your potential
we do.
district. Yet there's a $650 million projected deficit in the next 2-year transport. How do we fill that deficit, or do we put some projects on hold?
Well, first of all, let's go back to how we got there, and I think a big part of that was when the Doyle administration continued to ravage the transportation fund and repurpose dollars, and I think it was about, the number that pops in my head is $1.2 billion that they actually took out of that cost center, and we had to start making that up, and I think that's what we did and have done since the Walker administration has come into power. We tried to restore that. Is it there? No, there's some issues that we don't have enough funding. So maybe we need to look at repurposing what we already have in gas tax and repurposing some of that towards the transportation issues. I actually worked on a couple different unique ways, and one of those was looking at registrations on vehicles, where we would actually identify a registration tag and it would be specific to the vehicle. Currently we have a lot of people that drive unregistered throughout the state of Wisconsin, or they will take one tag and take it from one vehicle, put it to another vehicle. If we had a tag that specifically had that license plate number written on the tag, so it was vehicle specific, we would generate tens of millions of dollars. Now, it's not the silver bullet, but it's one way that we can bring in additional revenue from people using the roadways and make those dollars be usable for the transportation fund.
Would you consider raising the gas tax? That hasn't been raised since, I think, '06, or what you and I pay to register our license plates fee?
I'm not in favor of tax increase. I just don't think that that's productive. I think we can look at other ways of doing it. But all of these ideas, I think, have to be played out. We have to really look at them all. I also think maybe we should look at the cost. The cost of actually building roads. You know, we have prevailing wage oftentimes, which boosts and doubles the cost of the building of these highways and roads. You know, so there's a lot of other areas that we can look at.
Let's talk about health care. And the question is this: the federal government said to every state, if you expand MA benefits, we'll pay for it for the first few years. Governor Walker, Republican leaders of the legislature said no. Was that the right decision to say?
I believe it was. I mean, we have looked at this, and we know what the historical record has been for the federal government. They dangle a carrot out there, and then all of a sudden it becomes your program. And while oftentimes you know, it really seems good, all of a sudden after a couple of years, you know, schools with special needs, as an example, I think federal government's supposed to be paying around 40%. Currently they're paying about 15%. So the state's picking up the additional portion there, and this is the history. So I think that we really need to question, you know, what the feds are doing and know up front what it's really going to be. And so I totally agree with what the governor's done. We've actually pretty much eliminated the gap.
From reading the press releases from you and your opponent in the primary, the casino issue has emerged. What's your position on the Kenosha Casino, Dan?
I have always been in favor of the project, even when I was on the county board back in the early 2000s, 2003. I wrote a couple letters to the Bureau of Indian Affairs when I was in the Senate trying to get it moving and get it off their desk so we could deal with it. I'm still 100% in favor of the project. When Hard Rock came in and Hard Rock took over the project, it went from being just a casino to being an international entertainment venue with a casino. This is going to be 3,500 jobs that are going to be permanent jobs and some very well-paying jobs, but it's also going to be about 1,500 construction jobs. And for probably 2 years at least, just for the first phase, it's about a $525 million project in the first phase. And I believe that this does grow the economy, and this is an economic developer. My opponent has indicated that this is not a good thing. You know, casinos are not a good thing. They suck resources. They're just not a good economic motivator. And I believe it is. When you talk to the potential 3,500 people that are out there that don't have jobs, they're saying, we want this casino. Okay. They're thinking about how that's going to affect them in the local economy.
As I interview candidates, I'm asking them all the same question. What was your reaction to Judge Grabb's ruling on same-sex marriage?
I believe that marriage is the union between one man and one woman. That is ingrained in me. I believe that that is family values, and I believe that our law, our Constitution, shouldn't be affected by a federal judge. This is a state issue, and I believe that if they want to change that, it should go back through the whole process, and let's see exactly what the electorate says. Because right now, it's in our Constitution. I believe we need to uphold our Constitution.
One issue that you dealt with in the Senate is coming back. 2 candidates for Attorney General say first offense drunken driving should be a crime. Should it? You're a former long-time police officer. Your position?
I was a traffic investigator, actually. Taught OVWI, drunk driving testing, etc. I believe that first offense should be a first offense. It should be a non-criminal offense. This is where most of those individuals that come into a first offense situation, I think they need to have an opportunity, because a lot of them haven't identified that they have an issue. It gets them into the system. They end up working with professionals that can help them identify whether or not they have an abuse issue and help them correct that. I think when you make it into a felony, that it just creates a lot of stigmatism, etc., and it's actually worse for us. In a lot of those states that have made the first offense a felony, they have programs that will purge this if they go through other programs. So I think it's really a play on words. Second offenses, I have no difficulty. 47th offenses, these are absolutely ridiculous. But a first offense, I think, should continue to be a misdemeanor, and there should be able to get these people into the psychological services that they need to be and be assessed accordingly.
There are calls in Washington and Madison to raise the minimum wage. Your position?
I don't believe that the minimum wage should be raised at this point. When you look at how that would devastate our local business economy, I spoke to several business owners, one of those being a McDonald's franchise, and just increasing it $1 would cost them almost $1 million with all of the additional costs and with what they would have to do in order to provide that extra increase. And oftentimes, the business owners will pay more than a minimum wage once the individual's gotten in there and learned the skills. This was intended to be an entry-level position to learn those soft skills that so many kids don't have. Getting up on time, being there 5 days, I have to be there dressed appropriately, etc. And it was one of those types of things where they could learn to be, I think, a little bit more respectful of business and what the responsibilities are for business owners or job creators. I, at this point, do not believe that it should be increased.
Okay. 2 final questions. I want to give you a chance to highlight any issues that you consider key to your campaign that I haven't asked about. Is there anything out there, any other issue you want to mention?
Well, I'm just, I think that we've talked a little bit about where I've been. I think it's where we're going as a state. We need to continue our policies of improving our job climate here for job creators. We need to look at tax reforms that are going to not only help our job creators, but help the people that are working these jobs by reducing our income tax brackets from the 4 that it is now down to 3, and then hopefully down to 1. Flatten out our tax structure. But it needs to be an all of the above approach. I think that we need to look at eliminating retirements from the income tax side of things, or tax on retirements, because we push senior citizens out of the state, and they take all that disposable income with them, spend it someplace else in some other economy. We can keep those seniors here and those dollars here, which are going to drive our economy rather than somebody else's. And then I think choice, our schools have to be addressed. We've got to get our kids the opportunity. We have to expand the ability for young people in school to be trained in not only the upper education formats for 2- and 4-year degrees, but in our technical colleges, so that we can have these great skilled workers where we have these voids for skilled individuals. And that process is starting. We did that with our technical high school diploma that I authored when I was in the Senate, and that has continued to progress. And I think we need to continue to work to bring this totally full circle. And then we need to watch out for our most vulnerable. We need to continue to work to help them.
And then finally, I want to ask you if you want to highlight any differences between you and your opponent. We haven't interviewed him yet. We will later today. My understanding, he is saying you're not a real conservative. Well, anyway, do you want to highlight any differences with Mr. Stites?
Well, my opponent, I think, has indicated that I am not as conservative as I should be. I can only say this. I am the proven, trusted conservative that has made the tough choices. I have a record that I can show you. I took the tough votes. I voted on Act 10. I was the third legislator in the legislature to vote in favor of Act 10 legislation 2 days before it even went to the Joint Finance Committee for consideration. And I was working on the governor with some enhancement to that about unintended consequences for the little guy, which the governor agreed on and which we fixed. And then I voted for it. I mean, I took the death threats at home. I took the 75 to 100 people picketing my home and terrorizing my neighborhood. My daughter getting threats to kill her dog, because of what I did and how I stood up for my principles. And I think that my opponent has no understanding of what it's like to do that. And I can only say that, I don't know how much more conservative you can be. When you stand on your principles, you vote in a district, is a 48% conservative district, you pass the most conservative agenda in probably 4 decades, over a less than 2-year period, and you stand on your principles, you take those votes, you say, hey, I might lose my seat, but I'm going to continue to do what I think is right. I think that makes the difference. I have the experience, I have the record. I'm not afraid to go and speak my piece. And I believe that this is about the best choice for the district, and I think that I am the best choice for the district.
Very good. Former State Senator Wanggaard, overseen as a Republican seeking election in the 21st, the 20th, let me get this right, 21st Senate District. Thank you, Van, for helping me out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to Wisconsin.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.